Hello everyone, my name is Veda Daniels, and this is my presentation. I chose option 4, which is the unexamined life is not worth living. And the reason why I chose that is because I kind of wanted to show my own little story of my own little story of life and what I went through, my own conflict, my own peace building journey. So, yeah. Before I start though, I would like to introduce myself fully for you guys that don't know me, give you a little rundown of who I am. So, once again, my name is Veda Daniels, and I am a junior here at Cal State Dominguez Hills. I recently graduated Long Beach City College with my associate's degree. I'm currently 22, and hobbies of mine are I love to cook. I actually have a whole social media platform just for my cooking. If you guys are interested in that, I would leave it down underneath a link to it. Other fun facts are that I love to play sports. I love to watch sports. I love to go camping and be outdoors. I love dogs. I love to go swim. Swimming is really big. It's something I really love to do every year, every summer. We go out to the lakes, we go camping. I love to go swim. You most likely catch me swimming most of the time anyway. That's something I really love to do. Other things I love to play video games. I love anime. I'm a big anime fan. I like to hang out with my girlfriend, go to the park, go on walks, just be in nature in general. It's really something about that. Feel the smell of air, everything about it. But other than that, let's dive into my presentation. I'm gonna start off with a little rundown of memories from like ages from like 5 to 18. I'm going to increments. So one of my first memories from when I was around 5 was waking up to the smell of bacon cooking on a Sunday morning. Now, every Sunday, my mom would cook breakfast, and sometimes it would be pancakes and waffles, or it might be cinnamon rolls and sausages, or eggs and bacon. You know, it could be anything, but those were memories that I really remember, was waking up to the smell of bacon. My siblings and I will be waking up, rubbing sleep out our eye, already kind of excited because we know we're about to like have a really good meal. And those were important because we would always eat, every Sunday we'll eat meals at the table. And that's really important because we didn't always eat every meal at the table, but on Sundays we made it a point to really eat meals at the table and have that bond. And that moment was really important to me because you don't have that often, and it really lets you cherish a different perspective of life. And you look back on those memories like those were really some good memories that I can remember. And it represents to me my family still being connected even after losing loved ones. So I really want to carry that on. Hey, I really want to carry that on so my future generation, when I have kids, they can have that as well, and let them know, like, even with the times changing, we can still have a great family bonding. And my mom actually taught us that because back in her day, her grandmother and mother did that, and it was more common back then. And I think now that we have technology and all that, it's kind of lost because we usually eat food and we kind of like just break up and go our separate ways, and we really don't stay together like that often. So that was really important to me as a kid, and I would like to keep that going for my future generation. And I look back on that, and I think that was really a fond memory around around being 5. Now, around ages 6 to 10, you know, I was already a fan of music, but I remember on Saturday mornings waking up again early, my mom would be playing R&B music. And we knew when she was playing R&B music, that meant it was a cleaning day. And on Saturdays, my mom made it her mission to clean the house, do her chores around the house that she had to do on Saturdays. And I remember hearing her play some Donnell Jones or some Alicia Keys early in the morning. And she wasn't trying to be too loud, but she played it still to a volume like, okay, you can hear it. And it was like, all right, now it's our time to get up so we can start doing our chores as well. And as a kid, at first, it was like no one really wants to wake up on Saturday. But as I started growing older, I started to like it more and more. And I felt like I kind of understand what it is to get up early and vibe out to R&B music, clean the house up a little bit, do your chores, and just feel more peaceful in your own house. Because, sometimes you're going to school Monday through Friday or working Monday through Friday, and you don't have the opportunity to really clean like you want to during those times. So the weekends were really special to us. Obviously, we had the breakfast on Sundays, and then Saturdays we were cleaning up the house in the morning, really enjoyable moments that I do remember. And I plan on keeping that going because now, as an adult, I find myself kind of like subconsciously every Saturday, I'm like, oh, Saturday, let's get up, let's clean up, put some music on, put some R&B on. Sometimes you gotta take a step back from other genres of music and you want to have mellow. Sometimes it might be a smooth jazz, sometimes you just want the instrumental. But music in general really helps put pep in your step. You go to the beat of the music sometimes. If you're vacuuming, you might go to the beat of the music when you vacuum or when you're washing dishes. But in general, it really puts a whole new perspective on it. And I find myself constantly doing that every Saturday now. So I plan on keeping that going for future generations. And when I have kids, I kind of want to see if they'll do the same thing and introduce them to music. Because also, my mom introduced me to music that way. Like, for instance, I didn't know who Donnell Jones was or Alicia Keys. And growing up, I was like, man, she's always playing the same artist. Like, it's kind of like, not annoying, but it was like, man. And then now I find myself wanting to hear those songs. And also, it brings up a good memory to have for when you don't have that no more. And it's like, man, I remember having that time with my mom. So I want to keep that going as well. Also, around that time in school, I always felt responsible to kind of stand up for others when they felt down or when they felt like there was a time when they were being bothered. For some reason, when I was a kid, I always had the urge to just want to help out people. And I remember this fondly. I was in around elementary. I made one of my best friends. I met him because he was crying. And I went up to him and asked, like, hey, what's the matter? Why are you crying? And as a kid, I didn't really understand, like, personal boundaries or space. I didn't really care about that. It was more like, I see this person is sad. I want to go find out why and see if I can do anything to make them feel better. So I would find myself often trying to uplift others and make them feel better because no one wants to see someone sad. That's one thing about me. I never wanted to see someone sad or gloomy. I feel like life has more to offer, so I wanted to see people happy, just try to figure out how we can enjoy it together. And I found myself a lot doing that. Now at home, there was a little bit of contrast to that. As much as I did like to help people, at home I did bump heads with my brothers a lot. We were all close in age. We were all 5 years apart. So at home, sometimes you get into disagreements with your siblings. And me personally, I got into it with my brothers quite a few times, just over small things. And then they had to teach me, like, we're not your enemies. We're just trying to teach you and let you know what it's like to be in the real world. And what I mean by that is like when I get older, everything's not going to be peachy. And at the time, I didn't quite understand that, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm still mad at you, you know. But they always never took it to like, okay, well, that's your loss. I'm trying to teach you, and you don't want to listen. No, they was like, okay, you're gonna eventually have to figure it out. But I'm still gonna let you know, like, when you're wrong, you're wrong. When you're right, you're right. And we're not always going to be on the same page. And you're entitled to your own opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. So after a while of being in my feelings, as I got older, I started to understand what they meant. And I'm very grateful for that, because that was to them, to them, they're my role models. I look up to them. Obviously, I'm the younger brother, and having someone bring that knowledge into you and give you guidance of, try to not just throw you out there, but also give you, give you compassion and show you like, hey, there's going to be rough times, there's going to be good times. But we're here to let you know that it's not always going to be that way. You might have your ups, you might have your downs, but we're always going to be here to support you, and you'll always find a way up. Now, around middle school time, I remember my English teacher, she introduced me to button poetry. And I felt a real connection to that right away, because you got to hear people's stories out loud, and there were so many different versions of it, and you saw them express their feelings and how they felt, and you got to see them write letters to their future selves. And I really stuck to that, because it kind of gave me a way to express those weird feelings you're going through, because around that time, you're going through puberty and you don't know how to fully express yourself. So you're going through that weird phase of like, am I upset? Why am I upset? Am I depressed? Why should I feel depressed? You're going through all these emotions, your body's changing. So when I found button poetry, I really fell in love with it. And I found myself wanting to make letters to my future self, even do poetry. I remember my teacher hosting a poetry event, and I remember going up and making a whole poem. And I really found that soothing, intriguing. It gave me something to do and express feelings that I didn't know how to process properly. So I found that really soothing and comforting through a kind of more difficult time of growing up. Now, when I got to high school around 16, 18, around there, I started realizing the challenges facing ahead. Now, one of the main challenges around high school was towards the end of high school, was realizing when the friends you made throughout high school, or even for friends you made from middle school, they weren't always going to be there anymore. We're going through a new time where some of us are going off to college, some of us are moving out of state, and it was kind of a bittersweet moment, because it was like, this is something totally different, and it's new, and sometimes new is scary. And I had to realize, like, a lot of my friends that I talk to, I'm not going to talk to anymore. And you kind of already notice that as the group chat kind of gets quieter and quieter. You notice that when you're walking in the hallways going to your next class, it seemed like time's speeding up a little bit more, and you realize you don't got that much time left. It also didn't help that I was going through school when COVID hit, and that kind of played a big part as well because the time that I thought I had left got rapidly sped up. You didn't get to have that final time with your friends, and you had to realize like some of those friends were just chapters in the book, but not the entire story. So as much as it kind of pains you to like have to end that chapter, there's new chapters to be brought into the book. So I look back at that as a learning and a bittersweet moment. Now, the role of art and humanities to me was always in my life. Sometimes it was quiet, sometimes it was loud. Just like the Sunday mornings having breakfast and or having dinners on Sunday. It taught me more than just being there. It taught me connection, being there with your family, embracing that time you really have. Excuse me. But it also gave me things that I wouldn't have, as in, I remember my mom always quoting Maya Angelou, "Still I Rise." And as a kid, you're introduced to that during either history or English, but that poem really stuck with me, hearing it from my mom say a lot, and that really represents parts of my life and how sometimes you may get knocked down, but still you will rise, you know? Now, in my ideal utopia, I envision a life where young people are encouraged to start and flourish young. And what I mean by that, I mean experience life and through art and from community by, how should I say, going out there and being the best version of yourself. Now, through art, you can relate messages that words cannot, and that really sticks to you at your core. Now, my core values are family and friends first. Try not to go to bed angry, no matter what the relationship is. Excuse me. And treat people how you would like to be treated. If you don't be treated rudely, I would suggest to treat people nicely. Nobody wants to be rude or be treated rude. Being nice is free, and there's no effort in doing it. Now, my philosophy I live by is live life to the fullest every day. Don't give it half just because you're not feeling that great. And when I say it like that, I want to put it as blunt as possible. I mean that by give it your all every day, because you never know when that day might be your last. And I don't want to sound like depressing about it, but we don't know. And I like to look at it as like, I'm going to give it 180% today, because just that little bit can make you better. And no one's perfect. So just bettering yourself is always good. Now, my dream for the future is to have stability mentally and financially. I hope to eventually be an entrepreneur and have multiple businesses. That way I can have my dream car, which is a Lamborghini Urus, and to have my dream job and just enjoy life. Go on trips, have fun, have time which is very essential. Have time to spend with friends and family. My important needs as a human now would be friends and family, love, freedom as in independence from not having to worry about making money, and to spend time with my loved ones, to really get to enjoy your time on earth, which a lot of people don't because they're worried about working. Those are my important needs. Now, my most important truths are change is inevitable. Growing is a choice. Art heals and retains. And peace starts within. And you can't grow as a person until you are at peace with yourself. Thank you. That is my presentation for The Unexamined Life is Not Worth Living.